The Bulls rumored to be shopping Lonzo Ball. The big question, should any team be buying, and what is the price? We've got the latest on the situation. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. Only about 20% of you right now watching this are actually subscribed to the channel. The other 80%, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on those notifications as well. I'm joined by Donnie Freeman, a.k.a. D-Free. Donnie, how you doing? And Lonzo Ball. And maybe in play here on the trade market.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? Lonzo can wait. Trev, I've got a bone to pick with you.
What's that?
Yesterday, I went in my sub box and I saw that, you're cheating on Basketball Bulletin. I saw you were in person with Keith. And I just want you to know that Basketball Bulletin doesn't appreciate that, man. What's up? Like, you disappear on us. Oh, you know what? Actually, you disappear on Lakers Nation. You're no longer there for a stream. You disappear on us for a day, and then we see you're over there with Keith, man. I just, that's unforgivable, bro.
If you happened to be in Orlando, I would have met with you too, and we would have hung out and done something for Basketball Bulletin. I happened to be in Keith's neck of the woods anyway, and so we got something done. Yes, I know. I was terrible. I rushed back to make it back for the Lakers game last night and all of that. But yes, back in action. Apologies all around. I will never go anywhere ever again.
You're not allowed to, bro.
I'm not allowed to.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness though, happy to have you back. And it was fun kind of manning the ship a little bit. But Lonzo, we've talked about him a few times, and it's cool to see that there's some news on him. So
yeah, here's what we've got. The Chicago Bulls, according to Jay Cowley, are expected to aggressively shop Lonzo Ball. And then we had the asking price come out from Evan Sider. He said the Bulls are willing to trade Lonzo Ball for second-round draft capital. Now, the numbers for Lonzo, not all that exciting right now. 5.4 points, 3.4 assists, 2.9 rebounds, just playing 17 minutes. We know coming back from a significant injury, but he does have an expiring contract as well, $21.4 million that could be used to shed salary. Now, the question becomes, how much salary are the Bulls willing to absorb if they're just getting second-round draft capital? What does that look like? And is a team really getting Lonzo Ball, the player, or just getting him as a contract? I think that's the fascinating thing to look at. And we're also going to talk about where Lonzo could wind up. Where are the important teams or the best potential landing spots for him? But first, let's give a shout-out to our sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks, tons of fun. Daily fantasy sports. You guys can use our code Bulletin. Make sure you use the link in the description down below as well. That's always the way to do it over on Prize Picks. Use that code Bulletin, and you get a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineup. Super easy to play. Super fun as well. Donnie, let's make a few quick picks here. I see Walker Kessler against the Clippers, 22 points, rebounds, and assists. I think this is going to be a center battle between Kessler and Ivica Zubac. I wish Walker Kessler was still available on the trade market. I think he crushes this line.
Yeah, he's getting that. On a side note, what's up with that Jokic one? That one seems like a freebie right there.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. So we're obviously 0.5 points. There's a freebie. We're going to 100%. We smashed that one. That's easy. 0.5 points. Now, that is a Christmas Day promo, so worth noting there.
He doesn't play.
Right, so there's that there. Little Merry Christmas to everyone. And you know what else I kind of like? Oh, Bam had a bio. That one's interesting.
LaMelo 35.5.
LaMelo 35.5. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
He's going to get the shots up, and he's going to get some rebounds and assists too.
Especially against Philly. Okay, we'll go there. Boy, the poor Philadelphia 76ers. What a nightmare that's been. So if you guys agree with our picks, go check out Prize Picks. Use the promo code Bulletin. Check that out in the description down below. You can find the link. You get a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups. Again, use that link in the description down below and make sure you use that promo code Bulletin so that you can let them know that you came from us. All right, let's take a quick look at the Lonzo Ball contract. $21.4 million expiring this season. Again, has dealt with a wrist injury earlier, missed 2+ years of NBA basketball.
Yeah.
Should there be teams looking to buy here on Lonzo Ball? I'm talking about Lonzo the player, not Lonzo
Fair.
as a way to dump salary by using his expiring contract.
Yeah, we've said it, as a player, I think that if he ever gets back to being what he was before, that could be a really nice player to have, somebody that could play make for you, because he's obviously a point guard out there, but he's big, he's strong, and he's got, good wingspan, 6'6" guy out there. He could play defense and defend multiple positions. Ideally, he learned how to shoot along the way. He could be a 3-and-D point guard for you off the bench. Like, he's a nice archetype of player. I think that if teams wanted to add that type of player, he would be somebody that you could plug into any system anywhere, I think, and he would be a good piece. But the tricky thing is he hasn't played, or he wiped out 2.5 seasons, so it's kind of tricky. And even this season, he's only played 9 games so far. I don't know if that's some load management or if he kind of actually has had injuries. I haven't really been keeping up with him.
The wrist injury kept him out for a bit. Now they have been careful with his minutes and careful with his games played, but he had the wrist injury, so he's only played in 9 games so far. Yeah,
and in those games, he's only played 17 minutes. So that's another thing to consider. But I think they may be just trying to ease him back in. The percentages are down, but I expect those to go up. Some of that's volume. He's shooting about half the shots, half the threes. I mean, all that stuff is kind of what's going on with him. But I think as a player, I don't really have much gripe with him if he's able to be healthy. But the trick is, again, he missed 2.5 seasons. Who knows if he will be healthy for the long haul? Alonzo's a guy where maybe he's, he gets healthy, but maybe he's not somebody that's going to be there for you every game. Or he's, how Joel talked about how he's not going to play in back-to-backs. That may very well be the reality for Lonzo for a while, things like that. So I think that's where it's a little bit iffy.
Yeah, I think this is where I'm at with Lonzo. And by the way, if I'm the Chicago Bulls, I'm doing this exactly. I am shopping him because I'm probably not keeping him. I'm probably not going to retain him. And at one point, it's unfortunate because at one point Lonzo was seen as a big piece of their future. He was leading an exciting Bulls team that had DeMar DeRozan. You had Zach LaVine out there. They were in a really exciting offense. And by the way, they have actually had a really good offense this season. Zach LaVine's been scoring the ball at a really high level. I still don't know if we're going to find a taker on a Zach LaVine trade. Just that salary is tough to deal with. But when you look at Chicago and the Lonzo Ball situation, I do think that right now, if I'm the Bulls, I'm trying to shop him. If I can get second round draft capital, great. I think I'm moving on from the Lonzo era. They're already set at the guard position. They're going to put the ball in Josh Giddey's hand. The injury stuff is unfortunate, but the Bulls are going to do what they have to do. I think that means moving on from Lonzo Ball. So why not try to get something for him? Yeah. Try to get something. Now, if you can get second round draft capital, great. You were going to lose him for nothing this summer, most likely anyway. The question becomes, though, if you're the Bulls, are you willing to absorb significant long-term salary? Because if I'm a team right now that is trading for Lonzo Ball, I'm only trading for his expiring contract, which means I'm only interested in him if I can offload salary. Maybe I'd be willing to, if I have a 2-year contract, maybe I pay a couple of second-round picks for the Bulls to pay that salary next year. Lonzo Ball will expire and off you go. However, if I'm the Bulls, this is what I'm doing, Donnie. This is what I'm doing here. I am waiting. I'm not trading him right now unless somebody just comes in with a surprising offers me more than they should. I'm waiting at least a month. I'm waiting till probably beginning of February, because what I want to do if I'm the Bulls is I want to give him time and see if he can play his way back into being an asset on the trade market as a player and not just a contract. Because if you get that, you're going to open up your avenues of potential trades. You're going to open up the number of teams that are interested in him, and maybe you increase your return as well. If he can't play, if it doesn't work out, well, nothing changes. He's just going to be viewed as a contract anyway. So you have no downside other than just time passing by. So I'm waiting. He's still an expiring contract, but if he can stay on the floor from now until, let's say, the beginning of February, maybe there are some teams that say, you know what? He's a big guard. He's switching defensively. He can shoot a little bit. He can play make a little bit. That's a guy that we want, and we want to bring him in, not just as an expiring contract, but we want to bring him in to hang on to him, and they'll probably be willing to give up a little bit more value in that case. That's the way I'm approaching this if I'm Chicago. I'm 100% exploring the trade market, but I'm going to be patient for the next month or so.
Do you think there's any concern with trying to be patient that maybe he sustains another injury?
No, because then what's the worst? Okay, he gets hurt again. He's still just right now. I think teams are just going to value him as an expiring contract. Okay. So if he gets hurt, he's still an expiring contract. That doesn't change. So that's why I think there's no downside to it, unless maybe the 9 games have shown a few teams that's enough that he's actually back. But based on the production we've seen from him so far, I would be surprised if that was the case.
If you go down a little bit, his on and off numbers are pretty great in the 9 games he's played, which is interesting. I think they're like 10 points better or whatever when he's on the court, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I think that's fair. Mainly, I approached it from the element of like having him as a player.
Mm-hmm.
But as a contract, I mean, I think that's a no-brainer. If somebody wants to offload 20, then that's pretty great. So they should do that because he's got a great salary number.
Yeah, you look at his defensive box plus minus, really, really good there. If you're an opposing team, or let's say what opposing team should trade for Lonzo?
That actually wants the player?
That wants him as a player. Like, let's say we live in a world, because I want good things for Lonzo. Let's say we live in a world where everything goes well for Lonzo from here until the beginning of February. And what team should be knocking on the Bulls' door on a Lonzo Ball trade at that point? Let's say Lonzo gets back to 80% of what he used to be.
Ooh.
Who should trade for him?
Any team.
Right? He really is that versatile. He could help anybody.
He fits anywhere. Like I said earlier, I think ideally he is somebody that you could plug into any team and he could be good for you, because he's not the type of point guard that pounds the rock and, you know, goes down and needs to handle the ball. He's a ball mover. He kind of gets guys in motion and he'll get it that way. Otherwise, he can play off the ball. He can be in the corner for you. Ideally, if he's back to what he was, he's going to shoot 36, 37% on good volume, catch and shoot for you. He's a switchable defender. Like, he's the type of guy, like I said, he's big, and he's the type of guy that fits the archetype of player that you need. He's basically wing size as a point guard. So you can put him out there and do multiple things with him. I think that any team should like to have him if he's playing an ideal situation. But I do think you brought it up here.
Mm-hmm.
If the Lakers somehow, some way were to theoretically, you know, flip D'Lo, maybe they don't bring back a guard, they could try to put together a package for Lonzo, and it would be a pretty low cost thing. You would again have the injury concern on a team that may or may not already have those types of concerns with their guys because they just can't stay healthy. But I think that would be a nice fit for him too. And I liked, actually, going back to his Lakers stint, I really thought him and LeBron fit really well on the court together back then too. So I like that.
Yeah, I do think that he fits a lot of play, but the Lakers are right now the betting favorite to land him. Not that they're the favorite, like they are expected to land him. And I think some of that is that everybody knows the Lakers are kind of desperate to make a trade. And so they're going to come up near the top of all these betting odds. Again, this doesn't mean that the Lakers are in talks to land him or anything like that, or any of these other teams. But interesting, the Orlando Magic come up here. I think he fits there. The Phoenix Suns. How do you structure a deal to actually get him? Because they can't aggregate salaries in a trade. That gets to be a little bit tricky there. But the Brooklyn Nets, the Brooklyn Nets are a team that
salary dump, maybe.
I mean, they could do something there, or maybe they just kick the tires on Lonzo and they say, you know what, we'll give him a shot. We know he's not going to get big money next summer.Maybe he's a low risk, high upside type play for us, where we're kind of going through a rebuild anyway. Maybe we find something here in him and we give this a go. That's an interesting one. The Miami Heat are always in the mix for just about every player that's out there. They could maybe use some guard.
Charlotte, that's funny.
Charlotte is just because of his brother.
Yeah, that's
you know that.
I'd like them together though. I think they could fit together too. Yeah. So what's your, on a side note, what's your cutoff for like a rebuilding team on age? Because like Lonzo's like at my cutoff, if I'm trying to rebuild, I think 26, 27, definitely 28 is pushing it.
Yeah.
Once upon a time when the Chicago Bulls, you know, they were really fun. He was 24. He's now 27.
Yeah.
So like, I think he's right at that cutoff. That's why I always stay with Cam in Brooklyn. I think that I don't know that he's somebody you want to keep, but
Cam Johnson.
Yeah. Cause he's older too. He's like 28. So like, that's my cutoff personally.
Yeah, Lonzo's really close to that edge where if I am, say, like the Nets, and I'm going to go get Lonzo Ball, is my team going to be, by the time my team is good, is he aging out, right? Is that a problem?
The ideal there is that you get him, he looks good in your system, and then you flip him again. I think that's the ideal.
That could be.
If you're Brooklyn.
That could be. And if you can get him on a fairly team-friendly contract this summer by getting him in-house now and saying, hey, we're going to commit to you here, that could be the path there for the Brooklyn Nets. But I agree. He's probably right on that line, real close to it. Now, fortunately, he did just turn 27 back in October, so it's not like he's turning 28, in January or something like that. So maybe that helps a little bit, but Yeah, he's pretty close to that line, and that's going to be the challenge for him. But I just hope, Donnie, everything else aside, I hope that wherever he is, Lonzo gets back to being Lonzo, because he's so much fun. He's so fun to watch play out there, and you hate seeing the injuries take their toll the way they have on him. Hopefully, he's able to get back, whether it's with Chicago or somebody else, he's able to fully get back and get back to really enjoying the game again, because he can be a blast when he's out there on the court.
Yeah, I agree with you. Such a fun player. It's unfortunate he's dealt with what he's dealt with here, but there are some, cases like Livingston comes to mind where some guys have really bad injuries and they come back and, maybe they're not what they were, but they're able to have successful roles for years on. And hopefully Lonzo is one of those guys. We said it several times. If he's even 80% of what he was, I think that's a really good NBA player that any team would love to have. So hopefully, he's able to get to that point.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Let us know your thoughts on Lonzo Ball in the comment section down below. Go check out right now our latest video on Zion Williamson, DeJounte Murray, and other Pelicans potentially now on the trade market. Go give that one a look right now.